and welcome or welcome back to my channel, Lydia Lost the Plot. I'm Lydia and I'm here today with my September book haul. Now, I bought quite a few books this month and I'm excited to share them with you all. I have tried to be quite mindful about the books that I've bought, but it is tricky when there's so many gems that have been released this month. Now, I will quickly talk you through 6 books that I bought for a project, and then I'll talk you through the rest that I have either picked up from work or picked up from publishers or have bought myself. Just as a caveat to this video and for all my book hauls, I always like to say this is a lot of books. It's not how many you should be buying. I get a lot of books for free. I get a lot of books given to me for my job. I'm a bookseller by trade, and also I get a lot gifted to me by publishers because I'm a content creator, but not just that, but I also ask for proofs of books as well. So they're not necessarily all ones I've bought myself, but I just like to be transparent about that. And also support your local libraries, support your independent bookstores, and make sure that you read in any capacity, in any way that you can afford to, because we all live within our own means. And there was a time in my life where I used only libraries because I couldn't afford to buy books, and now I'm in a different position. So with that out of the way, I hope you're well and I hope that September has treated you well. Let's dive in to the books. Now, I'm just going to grab this stack first. I mean, this is it's a bit dodgy. I've not prepared as usual, so everything's just sort of everywhere. I've gone a bit wonky and gone. So the first set of books that I bought were for the Booker Prize, and they are what I'm reading at the moment. If you want to hear more about what I'm reading, then stay tuned. Do subscribe to this channel if you want to know a little bit more. But the books that I have purchased for the Booker Prize were the whole shortlist, apart from Percival, Everett, James, which I already have in proof form and have had for a while and still not read. So it's my kick up the bum to read it. But I will quickly talk you through if you don't already know the shortlist and you don't want to know for some reason and skip. But I got Anne Michaels's Held, got Orbital by Samantha Harvey, The Safekeep by Yael van der Wouden, Creation Lake by Rachel Kushner, and Stoneyard Devotional by Charlotte Wood. I bought all of these myself and I'm very excited about diving into that shortlist. If you want to hear my reviews of that shortlist, then please do subscribe to this channel, as I will be posting my reviews and my overall winner before the announcement, I hope, of the actual winner. So we'll see how successful I am at that. But moving on to the books that I have bought myself this month, is the first one is The Warlock Effect by Jeremy Dyson and Andy Nyman. Now, I am obsessed with the League of Gentlemen. If anybody has not heard of them, they were a sort of like a comedy troupe in the early 2000s who were just phenomenally funny and brilliant. Reece Shearsmith and Steve Pemberton are absolute geniuses, and Jeremy Dyson and Mark Gatiss, who are the other half of the quartet, are just phenomenal. So I've read some of Jeremy Dyson's novels before, but this is the first one he's written in conjunction with Andy Nyman. I think they've done a play before, but I'm very excited about this one. So we'll read a little bit of the back and then you can decide whether or not you would like to read it. In the 1950s, Louis Warlock is the most famous magician in Britain. His talent for deception attracts the attention of the British Secret Service. They need him for a dangerous mission to Europe, where he comes face to face with a nemesis whose cunning rivals his own. Louis will need to use every trick in the book or risk the most terrible consequences, both for the country and for himself. And I heard about this book on a podcast. Where did I hear it? I'm trying to remember now. I think it was Book Weirdos, I think. And I read and I listened to them, and they were absolutely brilliant, and they interviewed him and he talked all about creating the book. It was Andy Nyman, all about creating the book, all about working in collaboration with someone. I always find it fascinating when a book is written by two authors, and about how they manage to meld those, you know, two different voices into one narrative. And also, I love magic, I love kind of illusion, and I like a little bit of espionage every now and again. So it just sounded really good, and that conversation made me want to read it. So I purchased it, which I'm very glad about. The next book that I purchased myself was Ghosts of the Tsunami, which was the winner of the Rathbones Folio Prize in 2018. I've only just heard of it. I can't remember where I heard it from, but it's by Richard Lloyd Parry, and it's a non-fiction, so I'll read it to you. On the 11th of March 2011, a massive earthquake sent a 120-foot high tsunami smashing into the coast of northeast Japan. By the time the sea retreated, more than 18,500 lives had been lost. It was Japan's greatest single loss of life since the atomic bombing of Nagasaki. Richard Lloyd Parry spent 6 years reporting from the disaster zone and found himself drawn back again and again to a village which had suffered the greatest loss of all. A community tormented by mysteries of its own. What really happened to the local children as they waited in the school playground in the moments before the tsunami? Why did their teachers not evacuate them to safety? And why was the unbearable truth being so stubbornly covered up? I just thought it sounded so fascinating. As you guys know, I'm so into sort of natural disasters, big, you know, calamitous, momentous occasions in history, and the tsunamis that have happened in recent years are one of those things that I've watched lots of documentaries on, and I'm really fascinated by what happened. And I just thought this sounds like a really, really interesting take on what occurred there, and I'd like to educate myself a little bit more about it too. So that is Ghosts of the Tsunami by Richard Lloyd Parry. The next book that I've got is a proof, and this is a proof of the latest book by Graham Norton, which is called Frankie. Now, I've read 3 Graham Norton books and they've all been phenomenal. Now, I am always a little bit sort of reserved when it comes to celebrities writing novels, because I don't think that because you have a talk show or because you're an actor or because you're in the public eye, you're necessarily qualified to write literature. But Graham Norton is an exception, along with Richard Osman and Richard Coles. He is just phenomenally good, and he writes characters with such empathy that I just love his writing. And he always has really, really great great premises to his novels. So I don't know much about Frankie, so we'll read a little bit together. Always on the periphery, looking on, young Frankie Howe was never quite sure enough of herself to take centre stage. After all, life had already judged her harshly. Now old, Frankie finds it easy to forget the life that came before. Then Damien, a young Irish carer, arrives at her London flat, there to keep an eye on her as she recovers from a fall. A memory is sparked and the past crackles into life as Damien listens to the story Frankie has kept stored away all these years. Okay. I think that sounds really fun, and I think sometimes it's nice to hear a narrative told from the story of someone that's a bit older. I think the literary world is saturated with 30-somethings struggling with life crises, so it's actually quite nice to read about someone that's a bit older and has life experience. So I think it'll be really fascinating to get to this. I've still got another Graham Norton book, his last one before this, that I've not read, but it will definitely be a welcome addition to my TBR. And thank you to Coronet for this proof copy. Now, the next book I have read, but I got a copy of. Somebody gifted me this copy. They bought it and surprised me with it, and I was very, very happy. And that is Intermezzo by Sally Rooney. I have read it. It's phenomenal. I loved everything about it, and you guys know if you want to look back on some of my previous videos, I talk about this quite a lot. I talk about Ivan, who's one of the protagonists, and how much I just adore this novel. It's phenomenal. It's, I think, Sally Rooney's best yet, and I loved every single sentence. So I'm glad that I've got a beautiful hardback copy of it. It's very pretty. Look at the back. Look how nice that is. So I'm really happy I got this. So thank you to my friend who bought this for me. I do appreciate it. The next book I got from work. I work for Waterstones, and that is The Heaven and Earth Grocery Store by James McBride. I do have a proof copy of this, but this is the paperback version. It's very pretty. I love this cover. I think it's gorgeous, and I will be reading it I think in October, hopefully. And it was one of Barack Obama's book pick of the year. Comes very highly recommended. Everybody said this was going to win the Pulitzer Prize. It didn't, but I think that it'll be a great novel to stick my teeth into. So that is The Heaven and Earth Grocery Store by James McBride. Second to last, don't worry, I've not bought that many books this month actually, is Stephen King's The Body. Now I have read this book before. It's a short story, or sort of a short story. I think it was in different seasons originally. She says, I'm saying that. Yes, it's also available in the collection Different Seasons, I was right. And it is the basis of the film Stand By Me, and I really want to read it again. I read it for the first time probably when I was like 12 or 13, so a while ago, and I really want to get back into it. And somebody was giving away this copy and was like, oh, I've got 2 copies of The Body, and I was like, I shall have it. So this will be added to my Stephen King collection, and I'm hoping to get to it for October, because in October, other than The Heaven and Earth Grocery Store, I'm finishing off the Booker Prize shortlist. I want to try and stick to horror just because I think it'll be fun. So The Body is going to be on that list. It's also quite short, so I feel like I'll get it done quite quickly. And yeah, that's Stephen King's addition to my book haul. I feel like I can't have a book haul without hauling at least one of Stephen King's novels. Or maybe I just can't have a video without talking about him. But the last book that is on my list is Tim Minchin's You Don't Have to Have a Dream, Advice for the Incrementally Ambitious. Now, I love Tim Minchin. He's absolutely phenomenally talented. I've loved him for years. And this is based on a speech he did for, I think it was, I can't quite remember what it was. I think it was for some sort of graduation ceremony for something. And he wrote an address, and this was basically his speech, and he's made a book from it. And I'll read you the back. It says, life will sometimes seem long and tough, and you will sometimes be happy and sometimes sad. And then you'll be old, and then you'll be dead. There is only one sensible thing to do with this empty existence, and that is to fill it. Which I think is just beautiful, and I think it's going to be a lovely, gorgeous book. It's full of absolutely beautiful illustrations and really fun bits and bobs. I just think it's really pretty, and I don't think it'll take me long to read at all, but I feel like I just love the way that Tim Minchin sees life. I just think it's so cool. So that will hopefully be on my TBR quite soon, but that's You Don't Have to Have a Dream, Advice for the Incrementally Ambitious by Tim Minchin. And that is the end of my book haul. I think I've done really well this month, even though I've got like a huge stack of books. I think I've done quite well considering. I've really tried to be more mindful about the books that I'm bringing into my library, and also I've been really poorly for the past like week and a half. I don't know if you can tell, my voice is like 3 octaves lower than it should be. So I'm still recovering from being quite poorly, and you know what? Book buying made it feel better. It was medicine I needed. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this book haul, and I hope that it's put some books on your radar. Let me know in the comments down below if there's any books that you really like the look of, if there's any books you think I should get to first. And if you do like this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more bookish content. So until then, I'll see you next time. Bye bye.